Good evening, chaps and chapesses and whoever else might be watching. I was in a bit of a rush. I haven't had time to pour a beer yet, so you just have to bear with me a second. It's here again. Friday has rolled around. I don't know about you, but it seems to happen quicker every week. That said, it always seems like a long time till Friday when you wake up maybe slightly a little bit dusty on a Monday morning. But anyway, let's everybody get ready to type flake. See if I can oblige you with a decent frothy head on this one. There we go. That's not too bad. I'm on the Heineken this evening, by the way. So cheers, everyone. Depending upon where your definition of the week starts, this is my first of the week. Oh, dear me. Yes, thank you very much, Gave You Mirror. Let's have a look, see who we've got in as per usual. Oh, I see Robster Boy has been very generous there before we even kicked off. Thank you very much, mate. Johnny Random is first in, and then we've got Wilson Jones and Dr. Gomez. There's Danny Hancock and Peter Collins. Gordo Canuck is in as well, and Johnny H. Anton is there, so is Grandpa Joe and Boulder. And who else we got? Let's scroll down and have a look. We've got Sean House, and then we've got Vincent Brennan, I beg your pardon. There's Anton and PFY Guitars coming in, and Robster Boy, as I've said, thank you very much, mate. There's Mark Kerno, and who else we got? We've got Bridget Pollock, and have I said James Hunt already? Can't remember. But we do have Sometimes Dim Never Thin and Edwin Toonan. Scrolling down, we've got Michael Palmer and Ian Clark. And there's, who else? Who else did I see there? David Evans, that's it. Danny Hancock is there. Jeff C. and Terry Day. And Paul Trainer, the resident bass player. And who else we got? Lawrence Hastings and Phil. Phil is there. So is Deco Dude. Thank you very much, Paul. Very generous of you, Paul Trainer. Thank you very much. Michael Purcell is there. So's John Ross. And what else we got? Who else we got? We got Chip Young. And let's have a look. Marvelous Bloke is there, so is 60s Man and Jimmy James. There's Andy Nisbet, Colin Falcon and Thomas Mulvaney as well. Nice to see you all turning up to watch a fat ball bloke talk rubbish for an hour. Anyway, we've got Steve Hale and I'm a 640 and Dudley Squat. There's the Rockabilly Trainwreck. Nice to see you, mate. William Forrest is there, so is Charlie Buttocks and Ron Wells and Cylon Hybrid. James Hunt, I've said you already, haven't I, mate? Gear View Mirror, and David K is there. Who else we got? Peter Collins and Nancy Davis and Pablo Hank. There's Darren Myers and Watches and Guitars, John Mack and Bill Mumbo and Stratboy999, EM, Cornucopia, no less, is in. We've got Uli Viegel. I do apologise if that's the wrong pronunciation. I'm doing my best. Then we've got J. Aoyong and OH. Sledge 1960 is there, and so is Michael Dodds and Alan Hoole and Ian Stewart. And I think that's about everybody. I don't know. Maybe I missed a couple there. I do apologise if I have. I was going as quick as I could to just get round to having a beer and having a chat. As usual, I have absolutely no clue what I'm going to be talking about with you, fine ladies and gentlemen, this evening. Ian Stewart's there. How are you, mate? No idea what I'm going to be talking about. How's my camera, by the way? It's either always too bright or too dark. Do I need to just kind of lighten things up a bit? I am looking a bit like, that's possibly a little bit better. It's such a fine control, that one, to get. But right then, yes, no idea what I'm going to be talking about. I do know I'm going to be having a beer and having a chat with people who I genuinely, and I mean this Got to sound like anybody remember an old British TV host, Huey Green? I almost came out with one of his kind of isms back then, because he was, I mean this most sincerely, folks, and I do. You're all pals of mine now. We've been doing this long enough that we, even though many of us have never met, I still think of you all as a bunch of pals I hang about with on a Friday for an hour. So thank you all for turning up once again. Anyway, about time I told you what's coming up on the channel this week, isn't it? So on Sunday there is going to be a bit of another one of the revisit videos, a guitar that I've had just over a year now, the Sire S7 you can see on the wall behind me there. That is a guitar that every time I pick it up I think I really should play this guitar more. It's it's probably the best Strat style guitar I've ever owned. I am, however, thinking of me and it parting ways at the moment. Every time I pick it up, I think I couldn't possibly sell this guitar. But then again, I don't pick it up all that often because, truth be told, I'm just not into Strats at the moment, or have been for a while, really. But that's the one that always kind of, you pick it up and you think, yeah, it's too good to get rid of this. But then again, I don't pick it anyway. So I'm in two minds about that one. If somebody makes me an offer, it might be heading out the door, because I've got to fund the Eastman purchase somehow. Anyway, so Sunday's video is a bit of a revisit of that one. And then the crown is blinding me. I'm so sorry. Let me just turn that brightness down a little bit again. If my bald bonds, I'll wear a hat at some point, perhaps. I haven't got one up here, but there we go. Let's just there. We'll live with that, I think. Silent Hybrid saying, yes, you not gigging. Would you use a Strat then? Probably not. And to be honest with you, my gigging days are, a thing of the past now, I suspect. I've done that. I've ticked that box. And, it was fun, but I kind of like my life the way it is now, really. So... how does it compare to your Strat Fender won't let you own? It pretty much is the Strat that Fender won't let you own, to be honest. It's everything I want in a Strat. The 22 fret neck, the the HSS, the nice kind of pick guard. I always think on a Strat, that big slab of white plastic across a beautiful looking piece of wood, it always just kind of, I don't know, it just looks a little bit sort of clinical, and you're not showing off a beautiful guitar to its fullest degree, really, with that big lump of plastic across it. So that's why I like, pearloid, or even better, tortoiseshell. It's the only way that guitar could be better for me is if it had a tortoiseshell scratch plate. But then again, that's just my little, what would you call it, fetish, my tortoiseshell fetish. So that's Sunday's video, a little bit of a revisit of that. Then what have I got? Oh, yes. Now here's a brain teaser for you. I like to give a little bit of a what shall we call it? A cryptic clue for the Monday solo analysis. And this coming Monday, it is a song that is, I think, and I think I've even titled the video this, a song which is the last hurrah of 80s hair metal. The big kind of mullet power ballad, kind of pointy headstock kind of power ballads that were everywhere in the 80s. What was the last song of that type that you can remember from back in that in those days? What was the last song of that type that was like a massive hit before sort of all the Seattle boys came along and kind of grungified everything up? The last song that was like a massive big 80s kind of power ballad style hit. No, it wasn't Mr. Big. It was wasn't the Final Countdown. It wasn't that. Deco dude saying the sound of that cheap guitar brought back some happy memories. Oh, Pablo Hank saying the new Sire range looks pretty decent. I haven't seen any of those. The Monday Solo Chat Challenge. So, yeah, I'll give you a bit of a clue. I think this was either 1990 or 91, this song came out, and it was a massive hit all over the world because it dealt with sort of geopolitical events that were happening all over the world at the time. So that might be a bit too much of a clue, actually. Then on Tuesday, Top 5 Tuesday, I've been threatening to do this video for a while now. It's part one of what is probably going to be a two-part series about great producers, about the impact that they had, the influence that they had, and if what their signature sound was, if they had a signature sound. So it's all about the kind of unsung heroes of the music world, I guess. Everybody knows famous musicians. Everybody knows what they look like because half the time the pictures are on the album cover. But producers, as you kind of on that bus ride home from the record shop with clutching your precious new bit of vinyl as a kid, and you're reading the liner notes and the sleeve notes, and there's always somebody credited with being producer, and it was always because you didn't really know what a producer did when you were that young. It always added a bit of mystique to it. So that's what we're looking at on Tuesday. Then on Wednesday, answering a viewer's question once again about plenty of people ask me about how I come up with the solos and the licks and stuff like that that's going in, how I've made videos. I've done videos on how I make a video. This one is a question about how I put together the backing tracks. How I come up with the idea for the chord sequences and the riffs that go into the gear demos that I do and stuff like that. So that is what Wednesday's video is all about. And then on Thursday, we are revisiting the guitar that we looked at yesterday, the Yamato Les Paul clone, copy, knockoff, forgery, call it what you want. Yes, that guitar, the one that was on the channel yesterday, we're looking at that again, and I'm basically going to be seeing if I can get the action down low enough, shimming the neck and all that sort of stuff, and showing you how to do it to make a playable guitar out of it. And so that is all of the videos up to Thursday, and then we're into Friday. And you know what happens on a Friday? We have a beer. Let's have a look, see if anybody's have a look, see what we've got, if any guesses. Yes, I see plenty of people have got it. I knew that was a bit of a subtle brick of a clue. Wind of Change is the Monday solo analysis. Not every rose has its thorn. Brad Matthews is in, I see. Apologies for being late. Was watching World Cup. Hope I'm forgiven. Well, mate, if you want to watch 22 millionaires ruining a lawn, then that's up to you. It just holds no appeal for me, I'm afraid. And as I said last week, I'm sure about 4 years ago, there was a big football competition where they decided who the best team in the world was back then. So do we need to do it all again? I thought that was settled. David Evanson, you might need a bit of 2B4 to shim that neck. Well, spoiler alert. Here is said guitar. Okay, and remember the action from yesterday? That's the action now. That's, pretty playable. So I've done that mod on it. I've done another one. I'm not turning it around so you can't see what the mod is I've done. And I've got one more to do, and then it'll pretty much be a finished article that will, in some way or other, benefit Zoe's place. So Yamato slide guitar, no adjustment needed. Let's have a look, see what else we've got to talk about. Jay Aoyong is saying, cool, looking forward to that video. giving away all your trade secrets. Not secrets, you know, I don't own the knowledge of how to kind of shimmer neck, basically. I see we've got DJW in, and let's see what else we've got to talk about. John, before you do anything to that guitar, try and record something with it. Ahead of you already. Watch this space. Basically, I've done a video where I'm using that guitar. Once I've got the action lowered enough to make it a playable guitar, I've recorded a track with it, and that will be coming up next week at some point. Basically, well, it's a week on Sunday, so that's the video for then. What's that? You could drive Mama Cass through the action in a Humvee. Yes, indeed. Acquired a Harley Benton MS Modern this week. Very impressed. Setup is best I've had from a new guitar. Well, good for you, mate. There are a couple of Harley Bentons I want to try out. But unfortunately, Toman are still on the naughty step with me. I haven't forgiven them for the utter crap show of customer service that I had from them a couple of months ago. How long ago it was? When I basically tried to buy last time I tried to buy a guitar from them, they just basically fobbed me off, and they took my money, they took my order, and then basically didn't bother sending me a guitar. At which point, I after a week of ignored emails and being fobbed off with excuses, I thought, right, it's the last thing I bought from you in a while. So I just I'm looking elsewhere at the moment. Just email the CEO at Toman. Yeah, well, I'll get back to them at some point. It's just not something that I've been through pretty much all of the Harley Benton guitars that I want to try. I'm not really interested in these active ones, the kind of the ones that look like they've been had a coat of blackboard paint on them. And given that, that kind of noise issue that Glenn Fricker highlighted, I'm not really interested in them anyway. So, but there's one or two, and I'll get round to them eventually. I saw there's a question for me up there. En Labelle is saying, I'm wondering what your opinion would be on a 2013 Gibson Standard or Traditional if you've tried one. I don't think I've ever played a Les Paul Traditional, actually, and specifically a 2013 Les Paul that year. I don't know. I mean, all I can tell you is that I might have played one. It's possible a student might have turned up with one, and I might have had a brief go on it, but I couldn't say for certain that I haven't, and I couldn't say for certain that I have. I played a Les Paul Traditional or a Standard from that year. What I can tell you is that, and people are going to think I'm barking mad here, but I don't care. The best Les Paul I have ever played, and certainly the best Les Paul I've ever owned, is this one. A humble Les Paul Tribute. No binding, maple neck, weight relief. It's the most resonant and sustaining guitar ever, and the neck on it is gorgeous. Is it perfect? No, it has a cosmetic flaw on the edge of the fretboard that I pointed out when I bought the guitar, but it is only a cosmetic flaw. And I think this guitar is a little bit special to me because I've had many Les Paul style guitars over the years, and this is the first one I've ever really connected with and bonded with in a big way. Even the last Gibson Les Paul that I had, which was 30 years ago, I sold it because I was skint, but like I had other things I could have sold. But it was the Les Paul I chose to sell back in, 92, because it was just not a guitar that I was particularly bonding with. So, but that one is like the holy trinity of guitars in this room at the moment. Gold medal position is Blondie. There she is, the signature guitar. Absolutely love that. And then I'm going to say in joint second place, it's the PRS S2 Standard 24 and the Les Paul Tribute. Those three guitars are the ones that I reach for more than any others. That said, I've been playing this one today because I'm working on a video for January all about the wonderful and sadly departed Mr. Wilco Johnson. So I needed something kind of very, very more telecastery for that. Let's have a look. Edwin Toonan saying, I blame you making me a Les Paul addict. I bought mine after your review and now I'm a Les Paul style addict. Yeah, it's that guitar really has. I mean, I've talked about this many times. You know, I've had Epiphones, I've had Harley Bentons, I've had Tanglewoods, I've had Vintages, I've had, I think it was a Court one briefly for a while. You know, all kinds of different Les Paul style guitars, and I love them for about a month, and then they just kind of start becoming more of a wall decoration. They kind of stay there. But that Gibson, that Les Paul Tribute, it's just it's whether all Les Paul tributes are like that or whether I just got an exceptionally good one, I can't tell you. But it's an absolutely fantastic example of the breed, is what I can say. Have you ever played a self-tuning Gibson? No, I haven't, and I have no desire to. You know, it's I always thought that was just probably one of the most ill thought out ideas ever. If you are the kind of person that is going to spend, let's say, Gibson Les Paul Standard, one of the self-tuning ones, I mean, you're looking in round figures at about £2,000. If you are in a position where you're going to spend £2,000 on an electric guitar, I think it's a pretty safe assumption to make that you know how to tune a guitar. You know, I can see that self-tuning technology being the sort of thing that would be an absolute boon, an absolute, you know, kind of godsend to a beginner guitar player. But I can't think that there are going to be too many beginner guitar players who are buying a genuine, made in the USA Gibson Les Paul. It would have made more sense, frankly, if Gibson had put that sort of self-tuning thing onto like entry-level Epiphones, you know, the kind of guitar that is going to be your first guitar. That would have made much more sense to me. But, you know, it's like, for me, it's a little bit like, you know, going out and buying, I don't know, I'm not into motorbikes, but think of like try and think of a kind of top end, you know, luxury motorcycle. Maybe, I don't know, a Honda Goldwing or something like that. That's my knowledge of motorcycles completely exhausted. I've mentioned the Honda Goldwing. You know, a Honda Goldwing, and you put kind of stabilizers, training wheels on it. It just seems like it's about as much use as an ashtray on a motorbike. So no, I've never played a self-tuning Les Paul, and I don't have any plans to. Let's have a look, see what else we've been rattling on about while I've been talking there. Oh, Craig Stamen is in. Thank you so much, Craig, for your generous loan of a wonderful piece of kit that will be featured just in the run-up to Christmas. You know what I'm talking about. Yes, that has got my... yeah, Craig has loaned me a fantastic piece of kit, and I've got some of the best guitar tones ever that I've ever had out of it. And it's got me thinking about, you know, basically what can I sell to be able to afford one. Anyway, more on that later. Vincent Brennan is saying, gotta say my Telly Baja is my favourite. Hardly touch my 75 Les Paul Deluxe Gretsch Strat. Just love the feel and sound of the Baja. Yeah, isn't that the one that's got like all the kind of... I seem to remember Shane from In the Blues had one, but he couldn't play it because it was a righty and he's a lefty. but he got his mate to play it, and it's like it's got the sort of Peter Green out of phase sounding, and it's got the 4-way switching for like the kind of series pickup combination and stuff. So yeah, that looks like an interesting guitar. Michael Broadhead is saying, what is your opinion about using pre-recorded tracks for a live performance? Seems to be the norm these days. Well, I've played in bands where we worked with backing tracks. A band I was in for a long time, we were called The Verdict, and then we were called Big Ed. We were sort of a cabaret functions kind of club band sort of thing in the 90s. And there was me, bass player, singer, and a keyboard player. That was the lineup. And the keyboard player had all of the drums sequenced. Many of like keyboard parts and kind of horn parts were all sequenced. And, it would have been nicer to have had, a live drummer and a live horn section and, all the rest of it. But that would have meant it would have been like instead of a 4-piece band, it would have been like an 8 or 9-piece band. And then, that's extra mouths to feed. And for the kind of money that you can earn on the circuit round here, it just wouldn't have been, a feasible thing, really. So I'm not going to say that, pre-recorded tracks are as good as a live performance, because they're not. But sometimes it's a compromise you have to make. What I don't think is, really a good idea is when you go and see a big name band and, and half of the music that you're hearing off the stage when you've gone without and you've saved up and you've traveled a considerable distance to get to the venue because that's the nearest that this band whose albums you've got are playing to you. When you've maybe traveled from, say, where I am, maybe to Manchester or somewhere, you've gone out of your way to see this band, and and you've bought their albums and you've been looking forward to seeing them for months on end, and you get there and half the music that you're hearing coming off the stage is courtesy of a sequencer or an MP3 or a WAV file or something. I just don't think that's playing the game, really. Even if they have to have additional musicians on stage, that's a ploy that many bands do. That you've got all of the kind of main members of the band who are, there with spotlights on them, and they're kind of, the star of the show. But kind of stood in the shadows at the back of the stage. You've got, other musicians. I mean, Pink Floyd. There's an example. The Pulse tour, which I was watching that some excerpts from that again the couple of weeks ago. You've got additional musicians. You've got another drummer. You've got another keyboard player. You've got the backing singers. You've got another guitar player, Tim Rennick, and and a supporting cast of musicians. I'd much rather see that than just kind of have like half of the music that I'm hearing coming from a pre-recorded track, because it robs the performance of spontaneity, I think. So we've got Time Prophet in. That was quite a lengthy monologue there, wasn't it? Let's go and see what I've been missing while I was blethering away about pre-recorded tracks. Peter Collins is saying, I'm playing in a 7-piece band, so we don't earn much each from a gig, but it's real music. Yep. Where are we? Cylon Hybrid is saying, yes, I use them. Bloody good. They do not split up and walk off. Only problem when you go back to band, you lose the swing. Yep. Let's see who else we've been. It sounds like you've sold Dougal, not a sound tonight. No, he is absolutely wiped out, tired. We went for a big, massively long walk this morning, about twice as far as normal. We were out about 2.25 hours, and and all he's wanted to do is, since he got back, is sleep and fart basically. His two favourite occupations: sleeping and farting. And eating, he likes that, but no, he's currently engrossed in a stag bar, which is for the non-dog owners out there. It's deer antler that is like absolute catnip to dogs, if you know what I mean. It's something that they go mad for. Yeah, Jay Aoyong is saying Pulse series videos are great. The ending solo uncomfortably numb, no words. Michael Purcell is saying Pink Floyd would use backing tracks for the voices and effects. So I did not know that. I thought that was when you saw the cast of, well, not cast of thousands, but the multitude of musicians on stage for like the like Momentary Lapse of Reason tour, Delicate Sound of Thunder. That was it, wasn't it? And there was that that Venice gig that was on TV. I remember having that on VHS for ages and watching it many times. And like the Pulse thing, I just didn't pick up on the fact that there was, as much that there was much of any, kind of pre-recorded stuff going on. When you take Dougal for a walk, do you leave Ermingtrude behind? No, you see. Dougal is the dog off the Magic Roundabout, and Ermingtrude was the cow. So, yeah, you've got the wrong naming reference there. Dougal, our dog, is named after Father Dougal Maguire, a character in Father Ted, my favourite sitcom of all time, it has to be said. Boulder is saying the Meltdown DVD of David Gilmour at the Festival Hall 2004 is very good. Yeah, I keep getting these recommendations for DVDs to watch. A very kind chap got in touch with me a week or two back saying that he had a spare copy of the Gary Moore One Night in Dublin DVD. Did I want it? Unfortunately, I don't have a DVD player at the moment. We've gone all kind of high tech and got a smart TV, and everything is streaming now. So I honestly don't know where the DVD player, our last DVD player is. It's probably up in the loft somewhere. And you can find most things, I find, if you just look on YouTube, they're there, or they're on a streaming service somewhere or wherever. So that's, that'll be what I shall be doing this evening after Jackie has finished watching all of her soaps and everything. I might not even be on tonight because of some kind of football thing that's going on, apparently. After she's watched the soaps, I'm going to be getting into my one evening that I get in front of the TV, because normally I don't finish teaching until at least 8 o'clock on an evening, and then I just want an hour in front of anything, wheeler dealers or salvage hunters or something like that, just something easy on the brain with a couple of beers to kind of get the day out of my head before I go to bed. Somebody's got the caps lock on there. Never feed a dog on Baker's dog food. It causes diabetes. No vet will tell you that. They're only interested in well, I can take issue with that, Alan, because our vet has said exactly the same thing to us, when we were, kind of looking around for like the best food because, every dog has their own likes and dislikes. You're a racist now, Father Ted. Yes, that's, if you don't know what I'm talking about, that's a classic episode of Father Ted. But our vet actually recommended the cheapest dog food you can get. It's a dog food called Chappie. They said it's fantastically well balanced nutritionally, and just stay away from Baker's because, as they said, it's just it's basically junk food for dogs. It's the equivalent of, I can't say the name of the particular company involved because they're notoriously litigious, but it's the equivalent of junk food for your dog. So don't give me anyway. So there you go. I see the chat is filling up with Father Ted references. Careful now. Jeff Rock is saying, I got a lovely Eastman SB59L last weekend. I grabbed 4 seldom used guitars and did a Part X. Great guitar and good to clear some out. Have you tried Eastman yet? No, but here's the thing, right? In April, every April, because I'm self-employed, I get an invitation from the government to send them some money. But first of all, I have to fill in a form to ascertain how much of my money they want off me. And I've got until the end of January to fill that form in, do my tax return. And I always kind of, because it's a job I hate, I always leave it till the last minute. So in January, I will be doing my tax return and figuring out, basically how much I'm going to have to pay for the world-class public services we have in the UK. And then I will know what sort of state the finances are in, and basically that the next big ticket purchase will be happening after that calculation has taken place, and there's a very, very, very strong chance that it will be an Eastman that I'll be getting. So now Michael that's a fantastic point, mate. Could you get hold of the Yamaha Pacifica that caused the revolution and take us through why? Well, yeah, I mean, I think I did a video on this a while ago, and I was talking about the guitars that sort of changed the course of guitar history. The thing about the Yamaha Pacifica 112, because that was the Pacifica had been out, like, I think 89 they first came out. They were a replacement for some pointy headstock kind of super strat kind of thing that might have been a Yamaha RG, or not, Ibanez were RG. Well, anyway, basically the Pacifica range came out, I think, in 89, but in 93 they brought out the Pacifica 112, which was like the entry-level Pacifica. And what made it absolutely a game changer was, by the late 80s and early 90s, if you went out and bought a guitar for 200 quid, it was going to be made of plywood. And as many people have pointed out to me, there's nothing wrong with a plywood guitar, apart from the fact that, some plywood, there's good and there's bad plywood. And anyway, that Epiphone by Gibson Strat copy that I mentioned on Tuesday, that was awfully built, and the plywood would delaminate. So essentially, plywood guitars weren't really that good at the time. And Yamaha came out with, I think, a solid older body guitar, the Pacifica 112. That was just the fit and finish on it, and the fact that it was made from solid kind of decent timber rather than plywood. Now you can have the whole tone wood debate back and forth. I mean, yeah, let's not get into that. I once made the mistake of making a video about it, and dear me, the comments section, it was like a gunfight at the OK Corral. But it was just a step up in quality. Basically, for 200 quid, when the Yamaha Pacifica 112 first came out, you were getting a guitar that the year before, from another manufacturer, any other manufacturer, you'd have been paying 300-400 quid. And why it was revolutionary was because suddenly, within about 6 months, you weren't, Fender had stopped making Squire Strats out of plywood. And all of the kind of awful Strat copies of the early 90s, the Tanglewoods and the Horner Arbor series and the Epiphone by Gibson, the plywood Strat copies and everything, they just all vanished overnight. And suddenly you could buy a 200 quid guitar with a few upgrades, better pickups, better tuners, definitely. But the basic bones of the guitar was a good guitar, and it could become a professional instrument. And no matter how much money you'd chuck at a guitar like that Epiphone by Gibson Strat copy, it was just never going to be a good guitar, no matter what you did to it. So that was why I think the Pacifica was a revolutionary guitar. I don't know if I can. I mean, I've just blethered on there about it for a good few minutes. I don't know whether there's actually a video's worth of material in it. Might be. We might see. I am liking the fact that when I'm doing these videos about guitars of yesteryear, the sort of nostalgia kicks in, and I think they get a lot more views. So that is something I am definitely going to be looking at doing in future. Kind of more sort of nostalgic look back at gear of from when I was a young man, which was obviously a very long time ago. It's just a case of subject to availability, really. Anyway, let's see what I've missed. The bottom of the range now is the 012, isn't it? Yes, it is. I believe those are the ones that are in the solid colours, and the 112s are, in like a natural finish or burst or something like that. Yeah, that chip, that is something. Nearly bought a 611 Pacifica, but the narrow fretboard put my fat fingers off. I can see why that is the case. I mean, I had the Pacifica 311H in here for a while. That was a guitar I'd been really interested in for quite some time, but it was just, I just never really quite bonded with it. So it went, I'm afraid. But it was a great guitar. I'm sure you've all had this. I'm sure you've all had a guitar that you think, yep, low action, easy playability, great sounds, stays in tune. And it looks pretty good as well. But that missing kind of magic, that missing spark that makes you kind of think, oh, I really love that guitar. That was that Pacifica 311 for me. Oh, I see Balder has been watching Colin's video. If you haven't seen Colin's video, Guitaristas, this week's offering from him. I was watching it while I was editing a video earlier on today. Basically UPS lost his Gibson Les Paul, custom shop Les Paul, which was... well, it's a courier firm, isn't it? I mean, they're all cut from the same cloth on a much more. I think it was a Harley Benton Flying V that I sold many years ago that was damaged in transit by a courier, and even though I paid for insurance, they refused to pay out because it was a musical instrument and they ain't covered under the terms of the insurance. Well, yeah, but you knew it was a musical instrument when you sold me the insurance. Anyway. Bit off topic, but your thoughts on the Tascam 4-tracks of the 80s compared to computer apps now? Oh, yeah, I mean, it's easy to look back with rose-tinted spectacles, isn't it? Because I didn't have a Tascam, I had a Fostex 4-track. And I recorded my first, I called it an album, but it was really just a demo tape on that back then. And if anybody remembers a fantastic, I thought it was fantastic at the time, piece of kit called a Boss DR5 sequencer, drum machine and 4-track synth and sequencer all in one little affordable box. I used to do my backing tracks with that and record that onto the Fostex cassette machine, and then put guitar parts over the top of it. And I recorded music on it and sold that music, on cassette. But I wouldn't go back to that. When you think that, like, even now, a free app like Audacity has much more functionality than even the most high tech 4-track machines from yesteryear, cassette-based 4-track machines. I think mine wasn't cheap. Mine was about 300 odd quid back in the early 90s, which was, I'd hate to think what that would be in terms of, inflation adjusted for today. But it was great. It was great. I loved doing it because it was just, being able to record and get these musical ideas out my head and hear them, and it was fantastic. But there's no way I'd want to go back. No way at all. It's I don't know if you saw Rick Beato's video recently about the Tom Scholz Boston demos that were on cassette. If you haven't, go and check it out. That's a really interesting video. DJW is saying, have you seen Trev Wilkinson guitar kits available now? They look pretty good. I watched Trev Wilkinson's video just last night where he was showing you how to build the TE52, and all I can say is watch this space. You know how my schedule works by now on YouTube. Fridays I do a live stream, and sometimes I do a Saturday video. Most often I don't. Sundays is just me demoing a piece of kit or just having a jam. Mondays a solo analysis. Tuesdays the top 5 list of some kind. Wednesdays some kind of viewer request or lesson of some kind, and Thursdays I'm either doing an unboxing or some kind of gear related video. So all I'm saying is watch this space if you're curious about those Trev Wilkinson guitar kits. There will be one coming to Robson Towers at some point in the early part of 2023, and there will be a series of videos about me kind of putting it together and making the best guitar I can out of it. Recently suggested that I get in touch with Trev Wilkinson and say, can you send me a kit for free and I'll make a bunch of videos about it and then donate it to Zoe's place? And I'm up for that, definitely, because, you know, well, it'd be a fun thing to do. And then, like, I really need another guitar around here. Of course I do, but, you know, it would be a fun thing if, you know, if I could make that happen. If I can't make it happen, then I will be just forking out for one and buying one of those kits myself. The trouble is, I mean, I don't know Trev Wilkinson's phone number and I don't know his email address. So how am I going to get in touch with him to ask him? You know, it's. I suppose I could tweet him if I was on Twitter, or get kind of meet him on Facebook if I was on Facebook. But I'm not. So, you know, we shall see. We shall see. Definitely there will be one of those Trev Wilkinson guitar kits coming through the door here at some point, providing they're still available when I have them. You know, the kind of wherewithal to kind of do it. As I say, the next purchases are on pause at the moment because I want to see what my tax bill is going to be like in January. On the Fritz is saying, currently my favourite guitar is a HB SB Strat with roasted neck from Soho, brass trem block, etc. Single humbucker, a bit of a lash up, and it's great. Well, good for you, mate. Yeah. It's just, you know, has Blondie been on? Yes, you missed her earlier, Gary. Here she is. I was talking about the Holy Trinity of guitars. Oh, Johnny Random, you're a gentleman. Thank you very much. Yes, there is Blondie. Just look at that top. Isn't that gorgeous? That ain't no photo flame. Look at that. What a fantastic guitar this is. I wake up every morning. I mean, I've had this guitar, I can't tell you how long now. But, you know, I say I wake up every morning. I'm a gentleman of a certain age, which means I wake up during the night to, you know, to kind of insult the porcelain, answer the call of nature, call it what you will. And as I'm padding along the landing, usually, even however long I've had this guitar, a couple of years now, even now I can't resist just kind of creeping in here and just just having a look and just perving on it, you know. It's fantastic thing. Yeah, the Holy Trinity of guitars. Let's get them all out again. There's Blondie, and you saw the Les Paul earlier. This is the one that I'm absolutely loving at the moment. It's seriously great guitar. It's like this guitar actually reminds me, I probably said this in the video, more than anything else, of me original Gordon Smith that I had back in the 90s. Fantastic guitar. And then you saw the Les Paul earlier. Those three guitars are the ones I'm reaching for more than anything else at the moment. Let's have a look. There's a comment there. I was going to say complaint. Comment there. What's your opinion on the flood of Chinese pedals on the market that are knockoff of other builders' circuits? Buy cheap crap or support the creator of the circuit? Well, you see, I didn't realise there was a flood of Chinese knockoffs. I mean, I don't know if you're referring to Behringer, because they're probably made in China. But, you know, I'm not really kind of across all of that. The thing is, if you have come up with a unique circuit design that is, you know, something that no one has ever done before, and, you know, you are, and it's genuinely something that is, you know, new, and as you know, no one else makes anything like it, then fair enough. You know, that's your intellectual property. But if there is a very well-known pedal out there that is essentially just a circuit that has been, you know, around for years, and it's just basically an amplifier, and I'm thinking of like a drive pedal here, like an op-amp circuit or something like that, that is pretty much something that you could copy out of an electronics textbook, then I don't see any problem with anybody else making a version of that pedal. You know, and if, like, I mean, for instance, you know, if there is a certain, you know, well-known drive pedal that is, you know, always traditionally been coloured sort of bright green, roughly the same kind of colour green as this beer can here. I think you know the one I mean. And if that, for instance, I'm not saying it is, but let's say it is, for instance, basically just a circuit that could have come from a high school electronics textbook, then I don't see any problem with another manufacturer making a pedal from that same circuit that also happens to be the same color. You know, I just don't see where. I mean, for instance, you know, you could have the argument about Marshall amplifiers. I mean, what Marshall did when they first started making amplifiers was, because you couldn't get Fender amps in the UK, they managed to get one and thought, right, well, we'll copy this. And the reason why Fender couldn't kind of pursue them for it was because Fender had just essentially just copied an amplifier circuit out of an electronics textbook. So, you know, it depends if you're infringing intellectual property or not, really. And, you know, that's where I am on it. Michael Broadhead is saying 2 words, John. Shergold Masquerader. Well, yeah, I have fond memories of Shergold guitars from the 70s and early 80s. I remember, you know, they were quite the aspirational guitar when you were when you had nothing but, you know, guitars like this to, you know, this lovely Yamato. I know they kind of they sort of reissued them a little bit earlier, but and yeah, I've never played one. I don't think, certainly not one of the new ones, but they are on my radar, and I am kind of thinking, yeah, maybe I should check them out. Let's have a look. See what. Oh, I see. We've got Mike in from CGS. How are you, mate? Craig's saying when I dropped the amp off, yes, that's what Craig lent me, an amp, and play the PRS. I couldn't believe how nice it was, John. Yes, indeed, it is a beautiful guitar. Let's have a look. See what else has been going on in the chat while I've been blethering away about pedals. That's the one we've already seen, isn't it? I do beg your pardon. Let's have a look, see what else is going on. Scroll down a bit. You don't hear, for instance, Joyo or Moore setting new tone trends. Yeah, well, that's a fair point, Run Boy. the thing is, though, there is a guy called Neville Martin, who I'm sure many people will know. He used to be the editor of Guitarist magazine for many years, and then wrote for Guitarist magazine and Guitar Techniques and many other publications. And a quote that he came out with once, which just hit the nail on the head, really. He said, and this is in the 90s at some point, he said this, all of the greatest guitar tones have already been recorded or have already been heard, and it's now that, the kind of Marshall and Fender and Vox and Boogie and probably a few other brands, essentially they defined what a great guitar tone was, and now that is the benchmark that everything else is kind of seen by, really. And is there room for a fantastically new guitar tone? I'm not entirely sure there is. In the same way as, would anybody buy a cello that sounded remarkably different from every other cello on the market, or remarkably different from, or a piano that sounded remarkably different from every other piano on the market? What we're talking about here is a musical instrument that has a spectrum of sounds that is pretty well defined. And, that's what people love about that musical instrument. It's the reason I've never really got into guitar synths. It's because if I wanted to play keyboards, I wanted keyboard sounds, I'd learn to play keyboards. So you can say, well, yes, a company like Joyo have never really kind of defined a new sound. But then again, name another company that has in recent years. Have Marshall produced a radically different sounding amplifier? Have Fender produced a radically different sounding amplifier in recent years? Probably not, because, as I say, that these tones were all pretty much defined by at least, let's say, the 80s, and that's pushing it a bit. So Paul Trainer is saying, any thoughts on Fernandez Les Paul guitars, John? No strong thoughts either way. I've played a couple that have belonged to students, but never really had an extended, kind of in-depth kind of experience of one. But those that I've played have seemed fine. Nothing that's really made me think, oh, I must have one of these. But nothing wrong with them either. Gary is saying, sorry, you're talking to Mike from CGS. Well, I'll answer it anyway. Wife kept me a Harley Benton 450 plus for Christmas. Should I be excited or hope I get a good one? Chances are you will get a good one, mate. Like anything, there will be the odd bad one that slips through quality control, but, chances are you'll get a decent one, mate. And I've just noticed what the time is. There's somebody who said it in the Balder is saying kebab incoming. Indeed, there is. Usually about 6:10 it turns up. So I can't hang around too long because the wife's downstairs in her pajamas, and I am in so much trouble if if she has to answer the door wearing her pajamas. So yes, there will be. I think I'll be having a doner tonight. I think that's what I ordered. So with that in mind, chaps, I'm going to swig off the last of me beer and say thank you once again. An hour ago, I had no idea what I was going to be talking about for an hour, but you always, without fail, provide me with enough stuff to blether on about for an hour. Once again, you've turned up to watch a fat, bald northern lad talk absolute cobblers for an hour, and I'll keep on doing it till you're sick of me. But for now, time, gentlemen, please.